We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, welcome, folks, to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani, and glad to have you with us this morning. We know that you're tuning in from all over the world, and we're excited that you are a part of this experience. So we just want to know where you're from. So represent your city, state, country, wherever you may be from. We want to know what it is. Listen, before we get started, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. This is a way of saying thank you to us for all that we do for you. Can you thank us with a like, with a share, with a subscribe? Can you forward it over to somebody who needs this? We got a phone call this morning from a couple who said, you know what? We need that last chance weekend. We need it. Holidays are coming up. I want to make sure things are right. Got another call from another couple. Like, people are serious about getting the healing and the restoration for their relationship. And that's why we do this show every single day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, where we connect with people all over the world to have conversations about your life and your marriage. And today is no different. We've been in a series on sex addiction. And so we're going to continue it into the final part, how to solve the sex addiction problem. But before we do that, really quick announcement, Last Chance Weekend coming up November the 12th through the 14th. We want to make sure that you're there. We're going to show this quick video and come right back to engage in the conversation. Be right back. All right, folks, that's right. That's the Last Chance Weekend. It is not too late. We're just a couple of weeks away. It is still an opportunity for you to sign up and register. I want to address a comment that just came through from Francisco. He says, how do I get my hurt partner to believe that couples therapy isn't a waste of time? She's skeptical and keeps using once a cheater, always a cheater. I've never wanted anything more than this recovery. Let me tell you something, guys. The way that you do that, and particularly for you, Francisco, there's an expression that says, facts tell, stories sell, right? I can give you all the facts, the data, the statistics. I can give you all of that. But that doesn't hit the heart. That hits the head. That's logical. But if I can give you a story of a couple who have been in the same situation that you have been in, and you feel it in your heart, it resonates in a completely different way. And I would say you want to fill her up with as many examples and stories of people who have overcome, who have been kind of like in a place where I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. They were willing to throw in the towel and call it quits, but because of counseling, because of an intensive, because of a last chance weekend, something was able to shift within them, which ultimately led to the healing and the restoration of their marriage. So this is what I would encourage you to do. If you go to the YouTube channel, Couples Academy YouTube channel, there's a playlist I think it's called Private Marriage Intensive Testimonials. And literally we have over 50 testimonials of couples who have gone through the journey. And I think filling her up with that would help to make her a believer. Matter of fact, here's a great testimonial. This is a repeat. We've played this once, but I think earlier this summer, we had a couple come up and really, they were not in a good place. And this is what they had to say.
Hi, I'm Michael.
And I'm Mandy.
And we're from Florida. And we came to Couples Academy because we had, some issues that we were dealing with and trying to work through. And it was actually getting to the point where it wasn't too great. And coming here, we were able to work with Asani and figure out what all the real problems were, really get to it at a deep level, felt comfortable to do it. We never felt like it was like it's my fault or your fault. We talked about all the different things, worked through it together in an organic way, and now we have tool sets that we can utilize to communicate with one another. We know about our personality traits, which, by the way, the exam that we took with him, how do you feel about that?
It came out being spot on.
Hyper freaky, I would call it, about how spot on it was. So we learned a lot about that, about us in that regard.
I feel like it's been transformative in, I think, in personal, individual ways for both of us. And that little tiny piece of hope and promise is like
the size of a planet.
Yeah, it's exponentially stronger.
We both feel very happy about it,
and
for sure.
I actually have a background in counseling and a background as a therapist myself, and I've seen many individuals and many couples go through traditional counseling, which usually looks like once a week for X number of weeks or X number of months. And I've even seen people do twice weekly. But this intensive, the 3-day weekend and everything that comes together is, leaps and bounds beyond what I think traditional weekly counseling could ever touch. There is really no way, I can't see that there's a better program in this entire country. Like this has to be the best in the country, if not the world. There's no doubt about it in my mind. You had this background, and you know a lot about this stuff. We've gone through individual counseling, we know it as a career. We've looked up different things, we've watched different videos. There is no doubt in my mind, prior to coming here, is one reason we called Asani, is we thought right off the bat that this was probably the best in the country. And now when we came here, I think it's easy to say it's probably the best in the planet. I think it's phenomenal. Nothing short of brilliant. Check your gut, talk to your spouse, make the plans, get on a plane, drive up here, whatever the case may be, and do it.
There it is, guys. That's a couple. They did a private marriage intensive. They drove up from Florida, but in a couple weeks we have a last chance weekend, which is a small group intensive. And one of the benefits of the small group intensive is not only do you glean from us, but you glean and learn from the other couples who are in the same situation that you're in. And what's awesome is that so many people come with apprehension. Like, I don't know about this, these strangers, I don't want anybody to know my story. And I get it, because you're dealing with very sensitive information. But the bonds that are established, I mean, people have still stayed in touch. They've gone on vacations. They've become godparents to each other's children. I mean, deep dive relationships are formed because you're revealing your most vulnerable areas of your life with people you don't know. And there's a bonding that takes place in that. That's intimacy, right? And so I would encourage you to do it. People are texting me now about it. We have a few slots left. We want you to be there. But listen, you just asked me, you said, is there a link? Is there a link? Can you send it to me? I'm telling you where to go, brother. Go on the Couples Academy. Like, come on. Go on the Couples Academy YouTube channel, right? If you haven't subscribed, but click on playlists and it'll pop up. You'll see it. And there's 51 testimonials just like this that you can dive into. So guys, I hope that helps. Do you ever have anyone, question is, do you ever have anything for engaged couples? Absolutely. You know, a lot of times we do premarital or pre-engagement counseling as well. And we're the best ones to come to. If people come to us for crisis, those are the people you want to deal with to figure out how to prevent crisis in your relationship. A lot of times people are looking at all the wrong things to trying to find the right ideas of what marriage is all about. But our philosophy is this. Now, this may sound crazy. If we're dealing with somebody who's not married, we take them through a process and we make the process as hard as we possibly can. Our goal is to make it as difficult as it can be to get you to walk down the aisle and say, I do. And you're like, well, why would I want that? I don't want that. I want something easy breezy. Because if we can make it challenging for you and you still make it, it won't be so easy to get a divorce once you get married, because we done unpacked it all. We took you through it all. A lot of stuff is lightweight. It really is. They tiptoe, tap dance, and pussyfoot around issues and don't deal with anything. We get up all in your stuff. And that's what you want, so that we can help you overcome the challenges that you're going through. All right, sex addiction, guys. I wanna start off with this video I saw about pornography. We've been talking about the impact that, you know, sex addiction has on the brain, but I thought this was a nice, cute video that gives a quick synopsis. It talks about the science of pornography and what impact it has on your brain, on your life, on your relationships. Take a look at this, and then we're gonna dive deep into the conversation. I thought that was a pretty good video. I thought it did a pretty good job of giving you an overall synopsis of the impact of porn, but it's beyond porn, right? It's any type of exposure to illicit sex. And I think that what's awesome about it, it says that, you know, if you really listened, one of the pieces it said at the very end is that you can turn things around, you can change things, you can shift things. So this idea of once a cheater, always a cheater it's bogus. Now, it is a possibility, right? If someone is unrepentant, they're not willing to change, they're not willing to do the heavy lifting, they're not willing to engage in a process, they're not willing to go to counseling, they're not willing to join a support group, they're not willing to be held accountable to a standard, then they're going to continue to do what they've always done, because there was no internal transformation within them. But if somebody is truly striving to become the best version of themselves, they can do it. Now, for some, it may be more challenging than others, because an addiction is something that has to be broken. It is a pattern that has to be broken. And this is why we engage in pattern recognition to figure out, okay, what is the root cause? What is the stimulus? How do we kind of unpack that? And how do we create other, alternative means to get the fix, if you will, that you're seeking, that are healthy, that do not compromise you or the integrity of the relationship? There are many people who have watched porn, who have gone to strip clubs, who have engaged in voyeurism, expeditionism, I'm probably saying that wrong, infidelity, and have literally repented. And that simply means that you've changed course and you've gone in another direction. It is a 180-degree change, never to go back. It is possible for you because it has been possible for so many others who have successfully done it. And so in terms of pornography, we were talking about the influences. And if you want to find out what those influences are, just go back to the previous episode. You can find the replay on YouTube and on Facebook. But continuing in the conversation, some of the other influences that cause people to become sexual addicts at some point in their life is the fact that, number one, we live in a very sexualized culture. We cannot escape that no matter where you go, sex is being sold. So whether you're turning on the television, whether you turn on the internet, you can search words like Pokemon and porn pops up. This is how kids get exposure to all types of salacious sexual activity on basic searches that would be innocent. Then you have the power of social media, right? No matter where you go, no matter what you search, you're scrolling through cooking videos and, the kids have all types of videos that are fun and exciting, and boom, all it takes is one. And then it's related to another video that's just like that first one, and then down the slippery slope we go. But then we have music videos. I mean, guys, it's literally soft porn with a beat under it. And that type of exposure can tremendously impact somebody. You're a married man, you're watching a video and then boom. Or you're a married woman and boom, the TV shows. And now that we've moved from, say, broadcast television, and now you can search any video you want, any TV show you want, any movie you want on demand, there's a lot less restrictions by the FCC in terms of what's allowable. So there's a lot more pornography, there's a lot more nudity, there's a lot more profanity, more things are being, a lot of these stringent rules, they're being loosened. And now you're able to see all types of things that previously you couldn't see. And those things create interest and desire and can cause you to slip away from what your primary focus should be. And that is your spouse. You can go to a newsstand, pick up a magazine, and boom, it's right in front of you. No matter where you go, it is there. And sometimes people do not know how to properly manage or control, because once something consumes your eye, boom. If we don't quickly adjust and course correct, there will be problems. One of the other contributing factors that can cause a person to slip into behaviors of sexual addiction would be family issues. Think about being a child and you lived in a household where one of or a few of these things happen. Now, I need you to understand this in context. If this has happened, it does not mean, oh my God, someone's going to be a sex addict. No, we're talking about influences. And usually it's not one, it's an accumulation of a variety of different things that we can point to. And so, it's been said that, when you have family members who are walking around naked, that are fully developed, and a child is not, they're curious about what that's about, or sex becomes the forbidden conversation. We can't talk about that because that's dirty, that's bad, that's just for adults. Well, that creates a curiosity. Or some people who are very casual about the conversation of sex, and it may be too mature for certain audiences, and now you're hearing all these things that you've never heard before, and it's robbing you of your innocence. Oftentimes, think about it, as children are growing up, we hear this stuff all the time. Girl, look at your daughter. Oh my God, she's how old? Look at her behind and those hips and those thighs and those breasts. Man, she's gonna break a whole lot of people's hearts. Right? That's the stuff we do. Do the same thing to boys. That boy is handsome. Oh my God, he's going to be a ladies' man. So these are the messages that we're receiving as children. And it's just like, okay, so my beauty and my body is associated with sexual pleasure and fulfillment. And so I'm going to be the one that will have all of these women and all of these girls and all of these guys. See what happens? They're seeds that are planted. Seeds of suggestion that develop and grow. Another contributing factor to sexual addiction is the experience of trauma. Now, people have had all types of trauma in their life, whether it be physical trauma or whether it be emotional trauma. Physical trauma, obviously, you got injured and it left permanent damage on a different part of your body, particularly your brain. Like when there's brain damage and you've experienced a concussion, you fell down on your head, something happened to you, you were in an accident, and there's now neurological damage. That can alter the way that you think, process, that can impact what stimulates you, all types of things. And that can be a contributing factor. But when it comes to the emotional trauma, think about this: the death of a parent, that's huge. The divorce of your parents, that's a big one. Any type of family abandonment, right? These teach subtle lessons, if you will, to children. They're stories that they tell themselves about what has occurred in their lives. And so what happens is it shapes how they show up in adult relationships and can become a contributing factor. And then, at the end of the day, another contributing factor to the porn addiction is emotional neglect. Now, say you grew up in a household and parents were just always busy. They were working 2 and 3 jobs, never around. And so you had to figure things out on your own. You're dealing with sickness, you're dealing with siblings, you're dealing with circumstances that are beyond your ability to effectively deal with it because of your maturity. All of these contributing factors create forms of identity and ways of dealing and processing through things that impact one's ability to engage in any type of behavior, let alone a sexual addiction. So when you add these all up from the first, second, and third episode, as we've unpacked it, you're now seeing a larger image of what's happening here. And so the question is, if these are the things that are happening in our relationships, what do we do about it? If these are the things that are happening in our childhood, how do we adjust to it? How do we get to a better place? How do we turn this thing around? Because I don't want to live with a sex addiction. I don't want this thing to continue to impact my marriage and my life. There's got to be an alternative way. There is an alternative way. So on the other side of the break, we're going to be talking about what to do about this sex addiction problem. Is there a solution? Let's talk about it. Be right back. All right, guys, we're back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We're talking about how to solve the sex addiction. So what's the cure? Is there a cure? If there is, I want to know about it. Well, there's a variety of different things that you can do. Now, some believe there is a cure. Others believe there is no cure. This is who you're going to be for the rest of your life, but we can help you cope. I'm interested in cures, not coping. I'll cope in the meantime, but I want to resolve this problem. And let me just tell you, you can have 10 people who all go through each of these, and the impact will be different. The results will be different because there's a lot of factors involved. It's the quality of the counselor or the program that you go through. It is the will of the person. It is the belief system that someone has. And really, at the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to: your will and your belief, right? We can go into the scripture. When Jesus healed people, I remember him saying, it's according to your faith. Like, I can heal you, but I've got to partner with you. Do you believe that you can be healed, set free, redeemed, delivered? Do you believe that? Because if you don't believe that, then your will is going to fight against what it is that we're trying to do here. And so when a person has a strong determination and will and are willing to do whatever it takes, and they hold themselves accountable, things can begin to shift. So you have all types of things. You have inpatient treatment programs where you can go away for 30 days or longer. I've had clients that have done that, whether they had a sex addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, because they're going into an environment isolated from everyone else. They are being monitored. They're going through a lot of exercises and just a lot of treatment that gets them to a better place. And then they're released back into society, hopefully holding on to and taking the very tools, right, and the skills that they've learned and applying them. But sometimes that's difficult, and over the course of time they slip back into the old behavior. So people see that and say, see, that's why I don't believe this person will ever change. Well, truth be told, think about going on a diet. You lose all the weight, you celebrate by eating the very thing that you gave up to lose the weight in the first place. So the level of discipline that you have because you were trying to accomplish a goal, and I need to lose such and such by this amount of time, and you're willing to starve yourself and exercise 2, 3, 4 times a day and eat certain things, and you had will. But then you got there and you're like, I'm good. That's why they say it's harder to stay at the top than to get to the top. Right? It's harder to stay number one than become number one. So whatever you went into, that total immersion experience, you have to maintain it throughout the course of your life. Then there are 12-step programs. I mean, truthfully, Sex Anonymous is a 12-step program, and there are many ministries that have recovery programs, and they're amazing programs that really give you some excellent tools and techniques and ways of thinking to hold on to help you experience healing, recovery, and deliverance. Now, I will say I do have certain issues with certain recovery programs because I think some of them are very lenient. They're very, casual. They're very accommodating. If I go into the gym and I have a fitness trainer, he's yelling and spitting in my face, give me 3 more sets, give me 3 more reps, right? He's pushing out of me what he knows is in me. Some recovery groups, they don't do that. They're just they're weak. That's why you really have to go to the right one that can provide what you need. Then there's medications you can take. Everybody's different. Some believe in medications because they act as suppressants and they help you, antidepressants, and they help you deal with particular urges. And though that does work, the challenge can be, you can become addicted to it, and then outside of it, now you have no control. And then there are the side effects that go along with it as well. But then you have cognitive behavioral therapy. And this is good because you're dealing with a clinician who's helping you identify and properly respond to the sexual impulses and triggers that you have that lead to certain types of behaviors. So there's a number of things that you could do out there, but I would say that one of the biggest things is spiritual deliverance, because at the end of the day, your physical struggle is really an outward manifestation of a spiritual struggle. Everything is spiritual, folks, because we're spiritual beings housed in a physical body, and we possess a soul. The soul is where the mind, the will, the emotions, the thought, the intellect, the imagination, all those things reside in the area of your soul. And that's the place that has gripped us. That's the devil's workshop, as they say. The battlefield of the mind is in the area of the soul, but what controls the soul is the spirit man. And so that's a spiritual journey and deliverance that you can take. But this is what I would say. Don't just rely on one method. Rely on as many as possible, because when you really talk to people who have recovered from anything, whatever it was, there was no silver bullet. It was an accumulation of things. There was the consistency of their behavior, and there was the willingness to hold themselves accountable. They never got to the place where they said, I'm good, I don't need this anymore. No, they realized, if I'm going to hold myself accountable, I need to have this for the rest of my life to keep me on the right track. I heard someone once say, for anybody who says they'll never do it again, and I'm beyond that, that's not my issue, that's not my problem, that's ego and pride rising up. This person said, everybody should have a healthy suspicion of their ability to do the wrong thing. Because guess what? You've done it before. So it's possible you can do it again. So if you have a healthy suspicion of your inability to do the right thing, you will make sure that you have checks and balances and accountability and support groups and mentorship and counseling and all of these things to keep you on the straight and narrow, to protect you from yourself. Guys, knowing is half the battle. But once you know, you got to do something with what you know. And that's where the work is required. So listen, guys, hope you got something out of today. Tomorrow is Friday. And if you know what Friday is, it is relationship Q&A. And so we're excited to dive into some of your questions to give you the answers that you need. But until then, guys, we love you and we will see you on tomorrow. Take care.